Many people reject Christianity on the basis that it's a white, Western colonial religion. Modern society is rightly critical of the arrogance shown by many white Western Christians in the past, and the many wrongs done by Western countries as they colonized less developed ones. Who would want to join a religion that seems to be an attempt to impose Western culture on other countries, wiping out diversity and traditional ways of life? The answer given by Rebecca McLaughlin in her book Confronting Christianity is that it's right to criticise the sins committed by white Western colonialists, but this shouldn't make us give up on Christianity, the most ethnically, culturally, and socio-economically diverse movement of all time. Christianity is explicitly against racism in its teachings, and it isn't white, Western, or colonialist. In fact, the critique of Christianity as a Western religion is hypocritical, as it is itself based on western-centrism. In this video, I'll highlight some of the key points that McLaughlin makes in her book. At the very root of Christianity is Jesus Christ. He, in both his teachings and his actions, was at pains to show that racism and ethnic prejudice had no place amongst his followers. The parable of the Good Samaritan, in Luke 10, has as its hero a Samaritan. Samaritans were an ethnic group that was hated and avoided by the Jews. Jesus shocked a Samaritan woman by being willing to talk to her. And Jesus' last commandment to his followers was to go make disciples of all nations. So, from the start, Christianity refused to be associated with any specific ethnicity. This was in sharp contrast with other religious groups. After Jesus' departure, the first Christians continued this ethos. On Pentecost, the day described as the birthday of the church, the Holy Spirit gave the disciples the gift of being able to preach to foreign people in their own native tongue, including those from present-day Iran, Iraq, Turkey, Egypt, and Italy. And the book of Acts shows the disciples shifting their focus from preaching to Jews around Jerusalem to preaching to Gentiles, non-Jews, further afield. Finally, the book of Revelation, the last book of the Bible, imagines a future where all nations and tribes worship together side by side. So long before the West was Christian, Christianity was already a diverse, globally minded movement. This doesn't fit with the idea that the spread of Christianity was simply down to white Western colonialism. Furthermore, the argument that Christianity is a white, colonial religion rests on a narrative that from its origins in ancient Palestine, Christianity spread to Europe, and it was through later empire and colonization that it spread to places like Africa and India. This narrative is false. It's also Western-centric. Christianity took root in Egypt and Iraq in the 1st century, Tunisia, Sudan and other parts of Africa by the 2nd century, Ethiopia and Eritrea in the 4th century. Christianity was in southern India no later than the 3rd and 4th centuries, and possibly much earlier. All this happened before the Christianization of Rome, and long before Britain became Christian. And today, most of the world's Christians are neither Western nor white. The black Yale law professor, Stephen Carter, has described a refusal in today's left to acknowledge the demographics of Christianity. In the US, black women are the most likely to be Christian, and around the world, women of colour are the most likely to be Christian. He warns liberals, when you mock Christians, you're not mocking who you think you are. Missionaries are no longer always Westerners heading towards less developed nations. Missionaries are now going from everywhere to everywhere. For example, the second largest exporter of missionaries is South Korea. American churches are themselves being revived by immigration, not least from East Asia, where Christianity is booming. Again, this argument doesn't rest on a defense of the evils of colonization and imperialism. McLaughlin acknowledges this, calling power perhaps humanity's most dangerous drug. But to reject Christianity on the basis of white Western colonists is to ignore the non-white, non-Western majority. This is Western-centric in itself. Christianity neither started in, nor first spread to, nor is now primarily practiced in the white Western world. And if you care about diversity, then, McLaughlin argues, you should at least consider the most diverse, multicultural, and multi-ethnic movement in history. That movement is Christianity.